South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem has been running for vice president, hoping to get picked by Donald Trump. And when people run for national office, they almost always release a book because it's an excuse for them to be invited on talk shows and talk about themselves. And as you probably heard, she made a revelation in this book, which just came out today, that has basically derailed any chance that she has to be Donald Trump's VP. But if the dog story wasn't bad enough, then the other shoe dropped, making her a complete laughingstock in politics, not just among Democrats, but also among Republicans. You probably heard about what she did to her dog. She wrote that she put the dog down, basically a rabid dog that was on the farm. And that's actually not that unusual, except she gave a graphic detail of exactly how she did it with her own hands, using a gun. So she could have just said she had to put the dog down and let people just assume that she took it to the vet and had the vet take care of it. But she had to describe in graphic detail what she did because she thought that it would convey a decisive person who was unwilling to be bound by namby-pamby niceties and do the difficult thing. Something that she tried to reveal in a previous book 2 years ago, but the agents said that it was a bad taste anecdote, and so it wasn't included then. I've never seen Old Yeller, the 1957 Disney movie about a boy and his dog, but I do know one thing, and one thing only about the movie, and that is how it ended, because it was so horrifying and scared so many children who did see it that it became an urban legend about what happens at the end of the film. They lived on a farm, the dog got sick, the family pulled a Kristi Noem. And I'm not even saying that that's the wrong thing to do or that they should have taken it to the vet. That's what people did on farms back in the 50s. That's what people do on farms still to this day. But that's not something that you really need to put in your book and then portray it as if you made a tough, brave decision. But Kristi Noem's book tour got even weirder because it looks like she didn't even read her own book, which of course was written by a ghostwriter, because this is what happened when she was asked about an interesting passage that was contained in it.
You talk about meeting some world leaders and one specific one. Quote, I remember when I met with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, I'm sure he underestimated me, having no clue about my experience staring down little tyrants. I've been a children's pastor after all.
Now, you may be assuming that the left is going to attack her for calling kids tyrants, but that's not the point. Wait for it.
Did you meet Kim Jong-un?
Well, you know, as soon as this was brought to my attention, I certainly made some changes and looked at this passage. And I've met with many world leaders. I've traveled around the world. As soon as it was brought to my attention, we went forward and have made some edits. So I'm glad that this book is being released in a couple of days and that those edits will be in place and that people will have the updated version.
Maybe Donald Trump should still pick her as his VP running mate, because that was quite an artful political non-answer.
So you did not meet with Kim Jong-un. That's what you're saying.
You know, I've met with many world leaders, I've traveled around the world. I think I've talked extensively in this book about my time serving in Congress, my time as governor, before governor, some of the travels that I've had. I'm not going to talk about my specific meetings with world leaders. I'm just not going to do that. This anecdote shouldn't have been in the book, and as soon as it was brought to my attention, I made sure that that was adjusted.
It sounds like she's trying to spin it like she had a secret meeting with him, but she didn't mean to reveal that in the book, and so they're going to take that out. But it really looks like she didn't meet with him at all, and the ghostwriter made a mistake, and she doesn't want to admit that she didn't write her own book. And now the entire book tour has been completely ruined because every question she gets isn't about her vision for America or her accomplishments as the governor. It's about the dog that she put down with her own hands, and now the mysterious Kim Jong-un non-meeting. So yesterday, she tried to do damage control on Fox News and on Newsmax and a bunch of other different conservative talk shows, only digging herself in deeper. Here she is talking with Jesse, waters it down.
And I understand that they're attacking me for it, Jesse.
Yeah, they are. So they're also attacking you. I guess you said you met Kim Jong-un. Did you meet him?
I've been to the DMZ. I've been to North Korea. You know, people, I don't talk about my conversations with world leaders. And so when I looked at the book and I saw that excerpt, I decided to make the change to the content of the book, and that's been done.
So you didn't have a conversation with Kim when you were at the DMZ?
I don't have conversations about my conversations with world leaders. I've been working on policy for 30 years, Jesse, and that's what most people don't remember about me.
Okay, we don't need to know the details about the conversation if indeed you did meet with them. That would be totally understandable. We just want to know if you actually did have a conversation with him.
So maybe you did have a conversation with Kim, but you don't want to talk about it.
I will not talk about my personal conversations with any world leaders. It just won't, and I'm not going to do it.
The story in her response to the excerpt in the book is so bizarre that everyone is having a difficult time understanding what is going on here.
I've also written a couple of books, and I know how the process works. You write some chapters. You don't write the whole book at once. You write a chapter or two. You send it to the editors, and they edit. They read it. They add. They subtract. And here's my question. The editor, was she possibly a plant, a liberal plant? Because I'm not sure either one of these stories, the dog story, the North Korea story, seems like the Kristi Noem I know.
No, the buck always stops with me. I take my own full responsibility. I wrote this book, and I take the responsibility for what's in it. It's a great book, Eric. I hope everybody reads it and buys it.
Nobody cares about your book, lady. At this point, we probably shouldn't even call it her book. It's the ghostwriter's book, because in virtually every one of these cases with celebrity authors, mainstream political pundits, they all hire ghostwriters who usually sit down with them and interview them and record that and then just transcribe that into the book and then add some things in there, writing in the first person as if they are them. And maybe they'll write a couple brief outlines or give some notes about what they want to be included into the book. So I don't even think we should call it her book. Me, on the other hand, I write my own books, which is why every time I release one, I show you a little bit of behind the scenes into my writing process because, well, as you can see, real writers are a little bit crazy. And what I do is when I finally get the rough draft done, which often takes me years, I'm working on books that I might release in 3, 4, 5 years, just saving notes, saving articles and quotes, and just jotting down ideas and expanding outlines and things like that. So when I finally get done with a book, with a rough draft, and I print it out, and then I go sit outside on the patio. I do get outside of the kitchen or go to the beach, and then I sit there with a cup of coffee and a red pen, and I read through it. And then, as you can see, I come up with other ideas and things that I want to add, and then I write those notes in the margins, and then I enter those into the Word file. That's not the most efficient way to do it. Most writers probably just stay on their computer and kind of reread through it, but I just find that I can think more clearly if I just take the hard copy and then just go sit outside, get some sun, relax, and I can really just focus on what it is that I want to say. And then it still takes a couple months to then polish it up and expand it and get it ready to release. So order The War on Conservatives in paperback from Amazon.com and download the ebook from any of the major ebook stores. But stay tuned because there's a little bit more that I wanted to get into in this video. You may be curious to learn that back in March, Kristi Noem signed an executive order trying to mandate an Orwellian definition of anti-Semitism in her state. The same bill that the House of Representatives passed just last week, trying to mandate nationwide, that surprisingly, many mainstream conservatives actually pushed back on and denounced. So Kristi Noem proudly signed an executive order demanding that nobody criticize Israel in the state of South Dakota. And in fact, 4 years earlier, signed an executive order banning business owners from criticizing Israel or boycotting any products that are manufactured over there, because if they own a business, then if they did that, they would not be allowed to have contracts with the government. These are the anti-BDS laws that are Orwellian, un-American, but mysteriously put in place in 38 different states in the country. So you can criticize, you can boycott products from China, from Russia, if they're even allowed to come over here. You can boycott products from any country in the world except for Israel in 38 different states. Basically the entire country of the United States. And then if you do, then you will be punished. So Kristi Noem's VP chances look like they've gone up in smoke. Just like Katie Britt's chances may have after she did the bizarre response to the State of the Union address, which was introducing her to the national stage. She's a senator from Alabama, and to be honest, her response was odd and uncomfortable. So now it looks like it's down to diversity hire Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, who's a member of Congress in Florida, and Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, Marco Rubio, and Doug Burgum, the governor of North Dakota. Maybe Trump will surprise us with somebody else, but word on the street is those are at the top of the list at this point. But we may not know for another 2 months because the convention isn't until, I think, the middle of July. And if you enjoy watching my videos and want to get some exclusive blog posts and view some clips that are definitely too hot to be included here in my YouTube videos, then join my locals community for $5 a month by clicking the link in the description below. It's like a private Facebook page, but it's owned by Rumble, so it's a free speech platform. Basically, it's just a private blog where I post thoughts about stories, links to things, video clips that people should see, but would cause problems if I include them here on YouTube. So it's a great way to get some exclusive content and sponsor my channel. So click the link in the description below and check it out.